say something in your mic real quick?
Yo.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right.
All right, welcome back to the Really Bad Podcast. As you can see, I'm where they invented racism, and this is my first on location podcast. And this is I'm not gonna say where we're at because I don't want to dox anybody, but I definitely drove past more people with less teeth than I have women in my life. So that was very nerve wracking. Um, there's no sounds out here, so if I scream, nobody will hear it. And I'm probably the last black person that was here was probably during slavery. So
I'm
that's
black, by the way.
fair, but I'm the blackest they've probably ever seen in history. Today's gonna be a fun episode. One, it's not in my room, and two, I got a very important guest. Now I've known this guest for a couple years now, and we met as slaves. To bring up slavery again. We worked for a mega corporation that we will not say because pending lawsuits that I'll probably pend after this because I just recounted some things that I forgot about, and I should probably sue those people. But yeah, so we're going to just continue because I was probably about to say some very egregious things, and I don't want to say some egregious things. But with me today, I have what I would like to call half of me and half of the world. I actually don't know your last name, but I know your last name, and it's killing me because it's something generic that I know.
Yeah, it's the name of a color.
Jesus Christ. Isaiah. Oh, we can blurt that out. We'll just say Isaiah. I'm going to cut that out. Don't worry. I'm not
What's
going to say your
good?
name.
What's good, podcast fam?
Have you ever like thought about doing a podcast?
Yeah, I thought about starting one of my own. I don't know how to get into it quite yet.
Just say like a bunch of things that people don't want you to say, and I think you'll be all right.
Well, see, the thing is, like, a lot of the topics that come to my mind are, like, very comedic,
Okay.
and I have a very dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
And
That's the black in you.
me working for a major corporation,
For sure.
and then me wanting to be saying outrageous shit,
Yeah.
it doesn't weigh very, very well.
You know what? It doesn't. But you know what? At the same time, I work for a very small company that makes a lot of money. So hopefully they don't see this and fire me. You kind of just got to take that risk. But I do get it. All you got to do is wear a mask.
Yeah, I thought about that.
Just don't wear the one with the pointed hood. But speaking of pointed hoods, you live in a very remote area. We talked just now before we press record. In your time being here, this is my first question for you. Have you been scared?
No.
Not at all?
Nah, I don't get scared.
Oh, okay. Well,
Not in a cocky kind of way.
that was a little cocky. That was a little, okay.
Nah, it's just a weird what will you say? Sort of autism that I have.
Okay.
I just don't get like it's kind of bad given the line of work that I'm in.
Right.
Like I should have fear,
Right.
but I'm there's some days where I work with 4,160 volts, which 120 could kill you.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask, is that bad?
Yeah, so
Okay.
4,000 could fry your ass.
Yeah.
But I just do it.
Wait, so you just kind of dropped the bomb. You think you have autism?
I mean, I don't have
Yeah,
like
but you think you
direct
have like
autism.
that like
It is a sense of autism though.
you got that switch in you that's like I was talking about this is gonna get racial early. So I was talking about this. I think there was a study that came out back in like the 70s and 80s where they tested kids with nonverbal autism and their ability to like transmute between walls and almost have a clairvoyance. So they could like understand things that weren't in front of them, and it was confusing, and they were connected to like a parent or a sibling.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this. The most autisms or the autistic people I've ever met in my life have all been biracial. Now, listen.
Yo, chill.
I'm not saying that's an indicator. I'm just saying, like yesterday, I went to this Asian restaurant and there was an autistic kid. Clearly, only say that because he was like a 200-pound 12-year-old and he had an iPad and he was rocking. So I'm like, you guess. And he was light skinned, curly hair. Doesn't do you well when I say that, but I think there's a link between that. So if there's a scientist out there, not saying he has autism, but Nah, well, okay, but then
So I wouldn't say I'm autistic, but I do
you
have a
escape
sense
the
of
fear.
I do have a sense of autism.
But do you think you could have one of those like other things that's like your brain just doesn't compute like pain and fear in the same way? Like you just have such a tolerance to things like that, or do you think it is just something like
I mean, things are definitely painful. Like, I don't have the highest pain tolerance in the world,
okay,
but like, I think a lot of times one thing that does save me, given day to day circumstances,
yeah,
is that I have kids now.
okay,
Back as to like before I had kids, it was like,
F it,
dude, we're sending it.
right, right,
Like
right,
it is what it is. Like if I touch 4160
yeah,
and I get blowed up, it is what it is.
okay, I got it,
But now I got a family to go home to.
which is beautiful, beautiful family by the way. Let me tell you
Appreciate
something.
that.
He makes great kids. I know a couple of y'all that have children, you don't. So refrain. Now I got a question because if my memory serves me correct, you grew up in Florida, right?
I was born in Florida.
Born in Florida. You grew up in Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. What part of Georgia?
Mostly Gainesville.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. No, never mind. I had another question. I thought you were a Florida boy by heart, but I do remember the Florida at one point.
Yeah, I was born in Gainesville, Florida, which is the irony behind that.
So it's just like you just transported and took away the last two letters of the state or the first two letters of the state, whatever, the
Yeah.
acronym of the state. God damn it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you move to Gainesville, Florida, or Georgia?
Off and on my entire life,
Okay.
since age 5.
Okay. Ah, okay. So you spent those first couple years
Down in Florida, yeah.
Yeah, you got the crazy in you. That was enough. That was
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
by
yeah.
osmosis of water and methamphetamines to like
Yeah,
suck
it's
into
in
your
the
system.
water
Eh,
down there.
So I went to Florida recently, and recently is a year ago, but still recently enough to where this is a recent story.
Mm.
And we went to not a Huddle House, but it was like it wasn't Waffle House. It was this other place, and apparently they have a bunch of them down there. And we walked in, and I smelled something burning, and nobody is like looking crazy because it didn't smell like food. It smelled like plastic. And I see this guy walk out, cloud of smoke from the bathroom in the back, and he's like zooted. And she was like, "Yeah, that's Terry. Terry likes to have some fun with that white stuff." And I was like, "I don't know what that means." And
It's normal down there, bro.
it's just different.
Like if you Google Florida man right now, there's a million things that'll come up. Florida man sucked off a gator, you know.
Yeah, which is
That's a thing, bro.
I was gonna make a bad joke, but we're gonna be politically correct in 2025.
We'll try.
So I did already allude to the fact that you are biracial,
Mhm.
and that's actually you're my first you're my first non 100% black on this podcast. So everybody, let's give a congratulations to that. Let's clap it up.
Nah, so the only bad thing is that I know your podcast a little bit better than you. Because you had some Asians on here at one point.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Fuck.
There's 2 Asian guys and a girl, I believe.
Nah. That's not my podcast.
That wasn't yours?
Nah, that was a podcast I was on. Shout out my boy Taman.
Oh, shit.
Shout out my boy. Hey, you know what? Hey, appreciate that though. That's a good callback. Yeah, shout out Taman. They don't do that no more. Shout out the Levity podcast. Shout out my boy name was Phil, Helen, and I don't even remember the other people. Some dude was named like HP for like computers probably because he was Asian. Shout out to him.
See, I haven't seen every episode, but I've watched them.
Oh man,
I
you know what?
support
Thank
you,
you.
dog.
So actually, I want to not to make this about me. We'll go back to the biracial, but let's talk about the podcast real quick because this was really funny, and I got to shout out a fan. I had a girl over last night, and me and this girl have a history, and we were like in the middle of coercing with each other, and I was like, "You want to watch my podcast?" And she was like, "God no," because I scarred her because I brought her up so many times, and she told me that her friend calls her frantically one night because her friend and her friend's boyfriend were laying down watching TikToks, and this guy, her boyfriend, is like hysterically laughing, and he goes like, "Oh my God, this is funny. Hey, shawty, look at this." She looks at it and she goes like, before he even showed me, I heard the voice and recognized it. It was your ex-boyfriend. Ah! And so yeah, I got a fan, and that was just random. Like I didn't even plan that. That was just me crawling across somebody's feed. So shout out to that. But let's go back to the biracialness. Thank you for watching. First off, I really appreciate it. My first question for where's your comfort level as a have anything? Fuck the what you are. Just go to like being not officially one or the other. Where's your comfort level when like existing in like a white person's America?
So obviously, I'm extremely comfortable to a certain extent
Right.
because I'm never gonna let anyone, make my life harder than it already is. But as far as like going to new places,
Mhm.
it kind of varies. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm uncomfortable. It's just kind of annoying
Right.
to wonder what they're even thinking because
Mm.
a lot of white people look at you and they're like, "Well, he's black,"
Yeah.
but they look at me and they're like, "Well, he's black too, right?" So like at the end of the day, I'm always gonna be black no matter what.
Yeah.
But I'm mixed.
Yeah.
I'm black and white. And actually, I did a 23andMe, and I'm 60% white,
Damn.
40% black.
Damn. So that means your daddy has some black in or white in him.
Yeah, he did. I
Damn.
mean, most people do nowadays. It's
Yeah.
it's the year 2025. People are mixing races left and right.
Yeah.
But when I was 12 years old, not to get completely off topic, but I dated this girl. I went on my first, official date
Mhm.
at 12 years old where her parents picked me up or whatever. Her dad picked me up, drives me to their house, and we're waiting for her mom to get off work so we can go to the Netherworld. Well, her mom gets home. She introduces me to her mom. Her mom says, "All right, everyone, let's get ready to go. Go get in the car." She calls my ex. I guess you call it an ex.
Yeah.
We were 12. It is what it is. It's
Yeah.
not really dating, but she calls her back inside and says, "Why is there an inn in my house?"
Ooh.
And I'm like,
Did you hear it?
No, I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay.
She, thankfully, she never would have said something like that to me,
Yeah.
like person to person. But she said it to her daughter,
Yeah.
and then she said it to her brother as well.
Mm.
It was like, "Why would you let your sister date an inn?"
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm 12 years old, bro. Like, to hear something like that is like kind of mind-boggling.
Was
And
that your first time experiencing like blatant racism?
nah, cause you know how kids are in school. You hear it
Yeah.
left and right, but it's you beat them up and go on about your day.
Yeah.
But when your girlfriend's parents are like calling you the N word,
Yeah.
you're just like, all right, now I got to spend the rest of the day with them because she's gonna pretend like she didn't say it. So we're gonna go on this date still.
Yeah.
But after they drop me off, she's like, yeah, so my mom says we can't see each other anymore.
Mm.
Blah, blah, blah. So we had to go behind her mom's back, and I'm like, that got uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, one day she's gonna catch us.
Yeah.
She takes you everywhere we go. So we're only 12 years old.
Yeah.
But growing up that way, it was just weird. It was like, I'm half black, I'm half white.
Right.
Now I know that I'm more white than I am black. But
Does that change how you view yourself in any way, or is it just more so just like I got a little extra chromosome almost?
no, it was just cool to look up.
Yeah.
Or do the DNA test.
Yeah.
But it is strange like how people view you. Like
Mm.
a couple years later I actually changed schools and I went to an all black school. I won't say which school.
Yeah. Fire.
But I was like, there was maybe 10 Mexicans and five white people.
Yeah.
Everybody else was black. And so I had the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
At this time, I had only dated white girls.
Mm.
Well, this black girl had a crush on me. She
Okay.
was kind of chunky, and I just didn't have a crush back. And she says, "Why do you only date white girls?" And she was like, "You're black. Like, you're black.
Mhm.
You should date your own race." And I was like, "I'm half white, half black. I can date who I want to date."
Right.
Like,
Right.
first of all, this isn't the damn 1930s. Like,
Yeah.
we can date who we want to date. Race shouldn't matter. But on top of that, right now, at that time, I was only attracted to white women. Now
Right.
I've been with probably every race. But Tyler, the creator, had came out with that song where he says, "Got all the black bitches mad because my main bitch vanilla." Right when that happened, so I posted it on my Facebook status.
Okay.
And I went back to school the next day, bro. I caught hell.
Damn. Damn.
I'm shivering because it's cold as hell out here.
Yeah, it actually is kind of cold. It's just called, there's no sun now.
Yeah.
Damn, you know what? That's funny though because now I'm definitely the opposite side of the fence, but I definitely grew up in a more only white. Once I got to like high school, it kind of got a little darker, but I never partook with white women because of the fear. Not so much like it ever happened to me. I never was like in a situation where a white person was like, "Get that in away from me." But I definitely had like suspicions of it, and then my dad always was like, "If you do that, you're gonna die." My dad's biracial, so it's kind of dumb. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But he's my color and biracial, so nobody believes him. But then his sisters are, they look like you. They have, the different hair textures and shit. They could be your kid almost. How you would think, like you'd be like, "Oh yeah, something's up with that."
Mhm.
My question past that though, when you get to the point where like you've been through the you I mean, okay, you're 12 now and you're understanding that okay, people aren't going to like me for something I quite literally can't control.
Yeah.
Did you hold resentment for a parent or did you like transfer that like blame of like F it to a parent?
Hell no. I'm proud of my race. You know,
Okay.
I never blamed my parents for anything like that. I mean, it was hard. Um, After that, moving forward, it'd be like, uh, hey, we're dating now. Before I meet your parents, have you told them that I'm black? Like, I don't want to go through that again.
Right.
And then on top of that, I had this one friend. He's crazy as hell. He wanted me to come over and spend the night one night, and I was
Right.
like, "Tell your mom it's your black friend before I come over, because
Yeah.
I'm not going through that." And funny story, he went home, told his mom, and she's like, I can't say his name, but it makes it so much funnier. But she's like, "Why would you invite your black friend over?" She's like, "Oh my gosh, what is he like?"
Okay.
And bring him over, whatever. But she ended up being cool. But
You know what? Yeah, I think racism is fun because like some of it comes from like a fear that they got put into their head when they were kids and they just never thought to think outside of it because they didn't have to deal with it.
yeah,
And then other people it's just like, no, I just really don't like those people because I don't like.
I unfortunately had to cut out what I said because it got very racist. Um, don't be racist, guys, because that's not cool. Unless it's worth it.
nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut that out. I'm gonna cut that out. That's probably crazy, but
Just bleep it out.
yeah, I'm gonna put like ding a ding a ding a ding a dong. Put that over it. Anyway, well, okay, so now living in America, being who you are, and then as you got older, dating more into the world, and then now let's skip that, right? With your, are you what side of the spectrum are you closer with? Are you closer with your black side or your white side?
My white side, ironically, non-ironically, my dad wasn't involved, so there's
Yeah.
no way for me to be involved with my black side.
So you never even got to like interact with like extended family on his side.
I mean, I have. I've been to like family reunions and
Okay.
stuff like that.
That's enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like hundreds of people there and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I visited my granddad before he passed away and stuff
Okay.
like that. But
Just in through it all, it was just I mean, not to say like the white side, but it was just your mom was the side that you.
yeah, I
Interacted
grew up
with.
with my mom and
Okay.
her parents and stuff like that.
Yeah, hey, sorry, man. Black men, we don't do the best. We try sometimes.
I broke the cycle though.
That's the white side of you. That's because you're 60%. If you were 50-50, I don't know, you might not be here. So, okay, but that's beautiful. Okay, so then now when it came to you finding somebody to have kids with, was it ever a thought when it came to race, or was it more so just like, look, I've been through the ringer. I don't care. I just want happy baby, happy wife, happy life.
I actually when before we had kids, I had to give her a speech, like nothing serious, but it's like, hey, you're pregnant now. I want you to know, like, when you're out in public, you keep an eye on our daughters, because people see, like, there can be a white racist man that's like just hates the fact that a white lady had mixed kids,
Right.
and they'll do something, intentional. And so I had to give her those kind of speeches, and just because I can't always be around,
Yeah.
so I had to let her know like what it's like for me growing up, because she doesn't get to see that.
Yeah.
We're all growing up now. We keep to ourselves.
For sure.
When we're out in public, obviously no one's gonna say anything, and
Yeah.
if they do, then it's gonna escalate from there. But
For sure. And we can handle that.
we can handle that.
So
I got a tool.
Yeah. Mouse tool. Okay, so you end up having kids. You live this life. You've had an example of what not to do almost as a parent and as a father. But now when it comes to the example you had, knowing that you have to carry being black before you have to carry being Isaiah, at what point were you like, you know what? I don't like black people either, because we all go through it. We all go through it. Or let me not say it like that. Let me be politically correct. Was there ever a point in that process of kind of like developing into who you are today where you were just kind of like, you know what? I can only associate so much. Because, I mean, knowing you, I know you listen to current hip hop. You know, you're contemporary with that. You also listen to fucking like Kane Brown and country. I don't want to say Kane Brown. I just know him because he's biracial too. That's the only reason why I know him. But I know you listen to you. You are not limited in your exposure to culture. That's a better way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
You also grew up in the same era as me. Like, we're basically the same age. So it's like you grew up playing the same video games as me, where you got called an N-word no matter what you look like in an Xbox lobby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, you've digested media that has been very racially divisive, especially in the past 10 years, where like you've just had to overindulge. Is there a part of you that formed into who you are today that just basically what I'm trying to ask, I'm gonna ask it better, frame it better. Do you still have any identity struggles being just in the world as somebody who's both?
I wouldn't say so. You know, I just kind of go with the flow each day.
Yeah.
I would never, honestly, I would never let race identify me just because of what I've been through.
Right.
I don't think race should identify anyone really.
Right.
You know, I know you said, I forgot exactly how you put it, but basically, did I like separate myself from the more black side?
Yeah.
No, I mean, one of my best friends is black, and he doesn't talk like me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm country.
Yeah.
He uses slang and stuff like that. One of the girls I dated before my wife was from the islands in Caribbean.
Ooh.
So
she Bahamian.
yeah.
Okay. Wagwan.
So no, I've never separated myself from any culture.
Okay.
You know, as I got older, I kind of let everything flow naturally.
Yeah.
Whoever I dated, whoever I hung out with, just if you're good people, you're good people.
Okay, here's a hard question that I've asked only one other biracial ever in my life. Are your kids going to identify as black?
So yeah, that question, unfortunately, like we're already identified as black out the gate.
I know.
Like when I see a white person in public, they look at me and they're like, "Oh, he's black."
Yeah.
If I see an Indian person, he's black.
Yeah. Never mind.
Hispanic,
Yeah. Oh,
the
yeah.
black guy.
Yeah.
So that part, you know, I like being called mixed.
You like it?
I like it.
Okay, fire. I heard a mixed girl on TikTok recently say, I don't identify with mixed because that acts as if I'm not a whole human. I was like, all right, shut up.
Yeah, that
Like-
sounds stupid as hell.
Yeah, we already created race. We already know it's a fucked up construct, but all we use it as is a way to identify with an ethnic culture, not to say that you have to be a thing. Like, you didn't choose, like, oh, man, I'm half black, so I'm going to get tattoos on my face and call everybody the N-word like I do. As a 70%er myself, I'll say this. I've struggled with identifying with blackness because like I've never, and this isn't to me to be like, oh my god, I'm a black elitist, but like I've never like indulged with like white women exclusively. Like I've always been like, nah, I don't really like white women or whatever. But you know, I walk outside and I talk to a black girl. They're like, you like white girls? I'm like, no, I just don't like you. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sorry, like, but it's always this thing of like there's stigma things, and as me who I've dated outside my race most of my life, like I know that like if I was to have a child with any of them, you know, it was gonna be a little fun, you know. I don't know what that's gonna end up like. You know, I could have had a little. It was really just gonna be a Mexican. I've only really dated Mexican women exclusively, but like it would have been like a little Mexican, little chocolate Mexican, you know,
Yeah.
a little chocolate y mexicano way.
That'll be nice, bro.
Nah, it'll look fucked up. Mexican people are too small, so it'll just be like a small fat kid that's really good at soccer, but also only says the N-word, even though he probably has like curly hair or he have like straight hair, something stupid. It doesn't matter. I don't want to have kids, but anyway, not yet at least. You like kids? Like before you had kids, did you like kids?
I like my kids.
I feel that. Okay, that was kind of like the question.
Fuck
really.
them other kids.
Oh, okay. Well, so now that you've lived out, now that you've moved out here and your kids are gonna have to go into school and things like that, are you fearful of what that could look like? Not in the sense of like who they are racially. I think that's besides the fact. But just because of how things are changing in America, do you find any fear in having to send your kids to school?
School shootings be the biggest thing.
That's why I thought you moved out here. I was like, you're not gonna have to deal with them down here.
Ah, shit,
Yeah.
man. You never know.
Fair point.
It happens
Fair point.
everywhere, especially in the country. They have more access to guns.
That
but
is a good point.
besides that, no, not really, because we actually thought about commuting for
Okay.
the kids since my wife's a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Just maybe drive them somewhere to a better school. Not saying that where I live now doesn't have a great school, because
Yeah.
actually, from what we've looked at, they have a pretty good school. But we've been looking at particular schools
Yeah.
just that have higher GPAs and stuff like that. so.
Yeah. I
But-
mean,
Yeah, I don't want my daughters to go to school at all. It's gonna break my heart.
damn.
I
that's
come
so
home
cute.
from work every day. They're already here, so
Oh, that's adorable. I can't wait to not feel that way. I can't wait to kick my kids out the second I fucking see them in the house. I'm gonna be like, don't you got fucking go stay at your grandma's? So mom, get ready. You're gonna have another set of kids in 5 years probably.
she's probably ready now.
Nah. She has to decide on who has to have the kid first, and I have a sister who's 10 years younger than me, and I put money she's gonna have a kid before I do.
Jesus Christ.
I know it's crazy, right? She's fucking 16, and I'm already like fucking premonitioning her to have a fucking child. But she got this rich little Mexican kid. Nope, that's racist. He's Colombian and white. I don't want to do that. But and nice guy. I'm not gonna say your name because I don't know if you have any friends that watch this, but I like you. Don't fuck it up. Anyway, let's stop talking about biracialness because I think you gave us a lot of insight. Because
one thing I did want to mention though was
go
like
crazy.
being black or mixed
Yeah.
and dating outside your race
Mm.
was always a struggle. I don't know if it was ever for you, but for me, it'd be like, all right, I don't want to get things to get serious,
Yeah.
and then your parents not accept me anyways,
Right.
because then we're just gonna have to break up, and then feelings get hurt, and then, or a friendship gets ruined. We could have just stayed friends and stuff like that.
Right.
People who aren't mixed or who aren't black, they don't have to deal with that, and
At all.
when it comes to being Hispanic or Indian or whatever, I think they got a little bit more leeway. I wouldn't say necessarily, because one of my best friends from Bangladesh kind of went through the same thing.
Yeah.
Just marrying outside of her culture.
Yeah.
They're very tight knit over there.
Yeah. They got a whole system.
Arranged marriages and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But other than that, that's really all I wanted to throw out there. Is people don't get to experience that like we do.
That's an interesting point though, because I think that's the uniqueness and why the question of like how do you see your children identifying in the future, because there is a point in which unfortunately, well, actually no, fortunately in the next 10, 20 years it might be an entirely different world. But there is also a part of it just where we live, and if you guys stay out here long term, our state is not known for being the most accepting. We had to have an MLK. It wasn't like Tennessee had an MLK. It was only us.
Yeah, we're in Georgia.
Yeah. But no. I mean, it's interesting though because for women, right? There's an exotic nature to men exploring outside of their race that I think when a man brings home a woman that's outside of his race, it's like, oh, that's just my son.
Yeah, it's more accepting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, I can get little weird colored babies and things like that. But see, for your daughters, they're gonna have a point where they're like, exotic. I'm from blah blah blah. Like, ew, what? My dad is just my dad. My mom is just my mom. They're not even gonna identify with stuff. And hopefully, we live in a world sooner than later where it's like, not to say those things don't matter, because I still want people to have identity.
Yeah.
But I also want people to understand that like proximity to one is not proximity to all. So like you really do have to do your due diligence to know that like, okay, I don't know everything about this person, so let me not be a prejudiced person. I don't know everything about this culture. Like, I hope we're at that point. Because, like, me personally, I don't like a lot of ethnic groups that have shown history of being distasteful to black people, whether it be through systems like where we live in the world or if it's just through social things, right? Like, you can talk about the Koreans and the blacks in California during the riots during the 90s and how that led to a cultural war that still goes on to this day, right? You can talk about the Muslims who live in Dearborn, Michigan, who exclusively shop within their own community and then cast out black people from a historically black area that turned into a historically Muslim. Like, there's so many instances of it that are not just black and white, because unfortunately, race and ethnicity are not black and white. They are so much of a melting pot.
Yeah.
Because there's Arab blacks that don't mess with regular blacks, and you can talk about Libyan people. You can talk about Eritrean people. You can talk about like so many others, right? There's intercultural differences that'll always break us up. But I think the one thing that made me like want to talk to you specifically about being biracial, one, because like it's funny to make fun of biracial people because it's like y'all don't have. I mean, y'all have Drake. You a Drake fan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it sucks. um, like y'all have Drake, right? You don't have like great examples of like historical figures that have like propositioned themselves as like, hey, we are just as much as one as we are the other, right? Most of them usually choose a side. Drake definitely chose the black side, and then now he's back on the Jewish side. So we'll give him his credit because we can't talk about those people. But I'm gonna cut that out too. But no, but thank you for at least giving a perspective that's different than mine because my dad being who he is, I never really took into account because my dad is black as fuck.
Yeah.
And he only wanted to be black. And my grandma, who isn't fully black, she had issues with it and she still does have it. Like, I don't know exactly her percentage on black, but I know she's like 75% white if I'm not mistaken. And her dad's like a quarter or maybe less. And he passed away when she was like 5. So she now collects Sambo, like black-faced mammy vintage stuff, like watermelon chewing black people magnets. Yeah, it's really weird. I'm gonna post a picture probably. I still got a video of it. And she does shit like that where you just go like, oh, you're still struggling with this. Like, you still don't understand it. And mind, she's 75, so it's like, you got to give it up at some point because you only got a couple years left.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, you know, you are now, you're 2 generations past her to where now your perspective on it is entirely different because you've grown up in an America where we're free, we're accepted. The part of you that isn't the norm is also the norm somewhere else, right? So, like, you have acceptance and things like that. So, let me stop being political, but let's go to politics.
I didn't vote.
Now, past that though, during the presidential election or previous to the presidential election, and I'm not outing you of anything that is detrimental to your character, because for one, I'm not gonna sit up here and say you're like a raging Republican. You're not. You're actually probably the only person I ever saw not comment on something that everybody commented on both sides. Like they didn't you didn't complain about shit, nor did you go and like prop up the other side. You were really like just but we had a conversation in the DMs once.
Yeah.
Because you were talking about the economic state of America and you were talking about the differences in economic policy. Now, I did a lot of research post our conversation because I was curious to what you were going to say. And I was curious, like, at first I was like, oh, he's about to talk some bullshit. Shut the fuck up. He's just a little Trumpy. You know, I'm like, I don't want to hear this shit.
Yeah.
And then you just brought up stuff that I think was interesting because it had nothing to do with political alignment. It had everything to do with perceived policy because we didn't know exactly if that was the stance he was going to take, nor did we know if that's exactly her stance. And you did more of a comparison to both, to which I say, great, right? You're a homeowner. You had things that you were thinking about. You got kids. Like, fuck, I don't think about shit like that. You know, I don't think about the Dow Jones. I don't even know what the fuck that is. I thought that was a person the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
But I want to bring up politics for one thing. You brought up your feelings on one thing. You were very interpersonal with it. You brought up anecdotal evidence. You also cited it with things that you felt were relevant facts. Now that we live in this, we've stepped through the fucking time portal and we're now in 1940s America again. Get ready. But as much as the alarm bells are ringing, now that we have a new presidency and we're seeing what he's already done in his recency with everything. I mean, the alignments that he's spoken about, everything. Let's just say everything, right? There's a lot. If you had to do your crystal ball prediction, and this is like base level one question, and then it's also the deepest question ever, because who fucking knows? Do you think we're headed in a better direction now that the new administration is in office?
Based off of the things that I've seen so far, I truly do.
Okay.
You know, I've never been Republican or Democrat.
Right.
I've been whoever's a better president.
Yeah.
Because first, I don't know much about politics as it is.
Right.
All I know is like things that I've experienced and wanting to buy a home, like you said. When inflation goes up, the housing market goes up, and when you're promising people a grant for first-time home buyers,
Yeah.
these people over here that are building this subdivision, they have the houses listed at $300,000. Well, then the president says, oh, well, first-time home buyers are going to get a $30,000 credit to buy their house. So these people that built the subdivision say, okay, no more 300,000. We're going to sell them for 330,000.
Right.
That makes it hard for someone like me that has already had a home. I can't just go and find $30,000 laying around, you know. So those were some of the things that I was looking at. But aside from that, I think, yeah, we're headed in a better direction just because of certain facts that have been out there, and him actually holding his word to some of the things that he said he was going to do, like some of the bills that he signed already. I am looking forward to that overtime. I know people were joking and giving people a hard time, like, you really think he's going to get no taxes on overtime? You think that's true? I don't know if it is true. I don't know if it'll actually happen.
Yeah.
But me, I get paid overtime.
Yeah.
That'll benefit me a lot.
Yeah.
Fuck
me. I don't get that shit. Go back to hourly.
But 600 million.
Ooh. What is
the
that about?
Saudi Arabian prince.
Oh, 600 billion, yeah.
600 billion.
Promise 600 billion in the next 6 years for our economic growth.
To invest in the U.S. You know, normally it's the U.S. investing in other countries.
For
so
sure.
I thought that was interesting. But now I've heard rumors that Samsung and Kia might be coming to the U.S. because of the tariffs that he was putting on other countries, you know.
So I'll say this only about Kia. Kia has been operating out of Atlanta for the last 9 years. So technically, their major distribution for North American cars has been in Atlanta for quite some time. I think it's been like 4 years of full production since the pandemic because they weren't able to ship parts.
Gotcha.
But not to say I don't give a fuck about like if he did it or not. He saved TikTok. He got my vote.
He saved TikTok.
Yeah,
he did save TikTok.
He got my vote in spirit. I did not vote for him.
At least for 120 days.
Yeah. An extra 90. I thought it was forever. And then somebody broke it to me. They were like, hey, bro, we only got like another 90 days on here. I was like, what the fuck? I was blackballed. Okay, but that's interesting, though, because you said something that is poignant enough, right? You said he's at least gone to his promises. And that's where I felt the last presidency was very weak. As an unbiased person, I felt like the promise of a better America was made on the front of he got us back to pre-COVID life as much as possible. Inflation's at 2.9% right now. It's still absurd, but it was 6.3 in 2022. We kind of got to take our dubs. You know, sometimes it's going to be a slow dub. I think this is I said it on my last episode. I think if we would have gave Trump another 4 years, I don't think we care anymore. But the fact that we were so volatile in the moment and we allowed, I think, things to kind of be so divisive, it made this time even worse because what Biden did in his last day of presidency, pardoning all the people that he felt Trump was going to be retaliatory against for the January 6th committee and COVID, I thought that was a great gesture. Now, him getting his son out of jail, I was kind of like, all right, nigga, like, you did what you said you wasn't going to do with that one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest with you. Trump might get R. Kelly or P. Diddy out of jail, so I'm kind of like, if he do that, Trump's the worst one.
Nah.
If he gets one of them fuckers out of I think he might get P. Diddy out. But that's just me on year 4. We'll see what happens. If P. Diddy doesn't kill himself because he's on some Epstein shit. But I say all that to say, I'm a big proponent of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has done a lot of great in the communities that I've lived in, and it goes not thought of because a lot of people in the Democratic Party that aren't as vocal don't have money. So they're very grassroots. They're very directly. I've never met a Republican senator in my life, and I live in a community where I live around affluent people, right? You would assume you would find somebody who's representing the people in our small state. We don't have a huge state. We have a giant populace in one center of the state, but, like, I live in a part of that populace. I'm in Metro Atlanta, so, like, I should meet somebody. I've met countless of state representatives as well as congressional representatives, Senate representatives, a lot of things, right? So I've always been a big proponent of the Democratic Party. Well, I will say, though, growing up in conservative South, I've also recognized there are a lot of Republican economic policies that just make more sense for America because we are an industry-driven country and we're not a tech bubble. We're not a fucking Switzerland. We don't our biggest export isn't our culture, right? Well, I mean, it is our culture technically, but I mean, like, we have tangible goods that can be sought after and things like that. Now, I say all that to say, you gave great points. The one thing I will throw against you and prop this as a question. In his last presidency, he did the same thing. Started off hot and faltered. Unfortunately, he also had a fucking global pandemic go against him. Can't blame anybody for that. People say it's a weak response. People said he did the wrong thing in the beginning of that. I'm like, shut up. You can't plan for something like that. Even if, I mean, technically he was the biggest proponent for a vaccine. And then of course he recants on that because now vaccines are killing people. I don't really
He's the
care.
first president that ever had to deal with that too.
Second, Spanish flu in 1912 was pretty big too. So,
Eh,
I mean, look, that was a global pandemic that killed over I think like 800,000 Americans. I might be wrong on the metrics. I'll put that up if I can find it. But he's the second president. But you're right. In the modern era, he's the first president to ever deal with a global pandemic to this scale. Obama had Ebola, but Ebola was killing like 10 people. It wasn't crazy.
yeah.
Now, the response of it all is also you can't stop America because Americans are dumb and we need to be pacified at every moment. And I'm not saying every American. I'm talking about like the average American wants to get up, go to work, drink a beer at the end of the night, go to sleep, beat their wife. Easy life, right?
Beat them
Okay,
up.
okay. But you know what I mean? Like most people just want simplicity. You move out here because you want simplicity. You don't want to have to deal with BS.
Yeah.
All that being said, he dealt with a global pandemic at the same time faltering on a lot of the promises that he gave to middle America. It's why he lost in a lot of those states, key battleground states like Georgia last election. Now, of course, Joe Biden didn't do no better. He came in and kind of, we know Congress was running the show. We know the Democrats that were in control ran the show. That is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not going to get too political in that, but we know what happened. The man is very geriatric. I think he's capable of making decisions. I don't think he was capable of being the president of the United States. I think he can make a decision of left and right because that is a lot of the policy that you have to make. You just have to choose which side you think is better, right? He's not over here writing a bill. He's over here just picking which one he thinks is better. And if you look at a lot of the things that he passed, they were very conservative. Joe Biden's a fucking conservative Democrat. Most of the old fucks are. What's the little lady that took that knee? That was the most racist shit I've ever seen when they took that knee for George Floyd. Nancy Pelosi, right? Like, she's conservative. She's a millionaire off of Congress. Like, we're not dumb.
But
go.
on top of all that, I would say, yeah, definitely in his first run, I don't think was the best.
Oh, not at
first 4 years. I do think he's a little more level-headed now. I don't know if he's gonna finish that way, like you said.
Do you think he's bloodthirsty though?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I mean,
for Americans,
that's
not
not
like
who I want
foreign
running
policy.
our country.
Yeah.
So.
I think he has. I think the January 6th thing is still pissing him off, but it's no longer a talking point because we don't really care anymore. Like he pardoned those 1,500 people, which technically he didn't pardon any of them because they can't get pardoned until they get sentencing, which is real fucked up. I don't understand that whole process. I didn't think they should have arrested them. I was like, insurrection, who cares? They didn't do anything really that bad. Get all the people that shot somebody or broke something. Everybody else, just let them go. Who cares? If you were there, I would have been there. I'm not gonna lie, you would have been there. Be honest. If you saw people just running there, bitch, I'd be like, all right, well, I mean,
Nah.
when in Rome, like,
Nah.
yeah, okay. He said no. Me, I'm going in that motherfucker. I'm like, I'm stealing. I am Nicolas Caging and national treasuring the fuck out and finding the Declaration of Independence in a tunnel and then finding up in the Lincoln Memorial. I'm finding the secrets. I'm finding the aliens. I've watched a lot of deep state shit.
See,
Anyway,
you see where I moved at. I like to be low key.
yeah. Are y'all on like well water too? Like you could.
We're on city now. It was on well water.
I was about to say you could really get away with some shit because they're gonna poison that water at some point. I
still have a well.
Use it. Okay, but everything, all things being considered, all things being said, as you look at it now, we've talked about biracialness, we talked about a lot of things. We'll wrap it up with the next couple questions, but do you think, as a culture of Americans, we will get to what I like to call the golden era of culture? Even with everything that went on, I really do think Obama's time was like a golden age of culture because I think it was forced integration. Like you had no choice. The president was black, so you couldn't be like, oh, I hate all blacks. You got to be like, oh, I hate those blacks, right? Like now it's more and more blanketed because of the MAGites who kind of run things, and those are the extremists of the policies and everything. They've kind of put their stake in the sand like, oh, these people suck. I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. I'm just really invigorated, as you can tell. I still love politics because it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've never been big into politics,
Yeah.
but like I said, whatever affects the way I live is
Yeah.
what I look into. So when I was younger, politics didn't really matter.
Yeah.
When Obama became the first black president, that's all that mattered.
Yeah.
I was
Literally.
young. I was, like 18 at the
Yeah.
time, I think, something like that. can't remember.
Yeah.
But nothing else mattered other than first black president.
Right.
So even coming to Kamala, I was like, it would be cool to have the first female president. I want to be a part of that history.
Yeah.
I just don't think she's the right one.
Don't think so either. She was hot to me. A lot of people don't find her hot. I don't get it. It's very low bars for politicians. So when they say she's not attractive at all, I kind of get confused, and I feel like that's just race blinding you because there's a lot of uggos out there.
I mean, compared to people in politics, she's definitely one of the better looking ones.
Thank you. At 60. Like, give her credit. She's 60.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Anyway. But, okay, do you think we're going to get, do you think this impending media-fronted culture war is actually upon us, or do you think it's just more fear-mongering bullshit because we don't listen to traditional media and they need something to keep us going?
You're going to have to actually break that down for me a little bit because I don't understand what you mean by that.
So, if you look at a lot of things when it comes to the recounting of what's gone on in the past year of just campaigning and things like that, they've spoken about how there's division within ethnic communities as well as white communities. And if you watch any think piece, they're talking about, well, this is the problem with black conservatives, or this is the problem with Latino conservatives and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're propositioning us to kind of almost take on like a Captain America Civil War fucking... That's Black Panther's side. This is Captain America, Bucky Rogers' side. A fucking Speedo Man, the fucking Mexican superheroes over here. Then they got the Asian superhero over here. Like, they're trying to make it like, all right, these groups are together, these groups are together. They're trying to make us almost fight for cultural cachet, right? This election was black against white, which I started to recognize kind of later in it. I was like, oh, Kamala, I think she did a poor job campaigning for herself. I think she should have been a little more diverse in her approach to how she reached and what her reach was. But they made it black or white. Do you think, not to say just black or white, but just the cultures that be, do you think we are headed into a, not a war, because a war is just so aggressive, but do you think there's going to be more cultural division in his next 4 years?
Honestly, I don't think so, just given off of his election. I thought if something was going to pop off, it would have popped off during inauguration.
Fair. Yeah, so did I. So did I.
So I was like, honestly, voting for presidents, you want the lesser evil to win, right?
Every time.
But I was like, Trump might be the better candidate, so I might want him to win. But at the end of the day, do I really want him to win because of what's going to happen? Like, I was kind of wondering, like, are the races going to go at it again? Like, are we going to have to worry about Black Lives Matter again? Like, these riots are happening and everything. It doesn't affect me personally. I'm not the one out there rioting or dying.
Yeah.
But I hate to see it happen in our community and stuff like that, especially living so close to Atlanta.
Yeah.
People go crazy out there, man.
Yeah, it's different.
They're rioting, they're picketing, they're doing all sorts of shit that's going to get them in trouble.
I got some free shoes last time, so I'm not complaining too much. But don't do that.
Or looting, even, man. It's just not good for the community.
When I worked at the place that we worked at together, I stole a lot. So I don't fucking care. They'll get off.
I do remember that time you got caught eating that banana in the cooler.
No, nuts. It was nuts. Yeah.
Or peanuts.
Yeah. Shout out Tim Hilton. Oh, I'm gonna cut his name out.
Cut that out.
Fuck him though.
But the only reason you didn't get fired was because he was going for district manager.
Wow, is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
So as a DM, if you're a store manager and you're a DM, you want only good things happening inside your store.
That's the only reason I didn't get fired.
So an associate stealing just doesn't look good. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know how cool that is? Because guess what? I was stealing a lot. I stole like 4 rotisserie chickens one day.
Jesus Christ.
I don't care. They can't get me for it. Statute of limitations. It's 5
I only
years.
knew about the peanuts.
Yeah, nobody knew about anything. I did it in secret. Not really. I mean, scan outs were just the dumbest thing. Let me not give up I'm going to cut that out. Anyway, before we end this, thank you. You've been very candid, very honest. I'm excited. Thank you for coming on. I've enjoyed it. I think you should come on again. I think I'm going to have a panel of just black people and just have fun.
Yeah.
And just see who says the N-word the best.
We need some funnier topics, though.
Nah, this was supposed to be serious. And this is why I do want to say, I did want to make this serious, and we are going to get funnier topics the next time you're on.
So, if this episode's coming to an end, the whole podcast was serious, but we need to say some funny shit on here.
All right, man. You got any... All right, actually, let me say something real quick then. On the funny tip, I've been on 3 dates this year.
And they were all taller than him.
No, what the hell they were. But I tried to. The last date I went on, I tried to, do some fun things, and I noticed you gotta have something hanging if you're gonna do certain positions, even if you're with somebody of an average height. Because what I noticed is that I was hitting a certain way and it wasn't hitting anything, and then it touched butthole, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm not good at this. So, not to say that's like funny, it's almost a little sad, but get a bigger penis.
Yeah.
You got any ethnic groups you want to cleanse?
Cleanse?
Yeah, maybe not. That's aggressive languaging, but yeah, it's cold. I
Yeah,
see you're freezing.
It's cold as hell.
Yeah,
Cold as hell.
yeah. You got anything you want to?
Blows.
Let's go funny. I don't know.
What's black and don't work? Decaf coffee, you racist bastard.
I had so many things in my head. I was about to start naming friends. That was funny.
Nah, for real though, we need a funny topic to go out on. What about trans? No.
Whoa.
No, cut that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to get canceled.
Actually, you know what? No, we're gonna have a. Okay. About that. But
There's
a
only
question.
2 genders now.
Yeah, there is.
You gotta
only-
respect Trump for that.
Nah.
Cut that out.
Yeah. I mean, less confusion. Now I can legally call you whatever the fuck I want. But no. So I was talking to somebody literally yesterday about this. If you ever ran into somebody who's recounting a story where they almost slept with somebody who was a trans female, and they said, yeah, bro, once she pulled it out, I was like, what the fuck? Question. Do you not look at him worse because he let it get to the point where they pulled it out? Because there also are so many more signs pointing to, like, that's not a woman.
Adam's apple.
Thank you.
Broad shoulders.
Thank you.
Big ass hands.
Thank you.
Something. Yeah. I mean, he's in the closet, bro. There's nothing wrong with that, though.
Right.
I mean,
But now I look bad because I'm like, hey, bro, you like penis and it's okay. Like, we all don't have to like the same thing.
I mean, I have some gay friends, I guess you would say.
Right.
But
Okay.
but I don't judge them. It is
Yeah.
what it is. Just
Oh.
don't try to touch me or nothing.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, you straight.
So there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
But if he keeps denying it, there's something wrong.
It's weird, right?
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay, thank you. Because it bugged me the fuck out because he was like, yeah, I'd kill him. And I'm like, why?
Why you like him?
You ignored the sign.
Yeah, on purpose.
You know, she wore a size 12 heel. That should have been enough. Should have been enough. You know? She wore flats, and her foot was flat, and it had a real weird arch point. Like, you should have noticed that. You should have known the chalk in between her knuckles.
If her feet are bigger than yours, dog, got a problem.
You know what? I like big women in velocity, and a lot of women I've dated have had a bigger foot than me. But I only wear a 9.5 in men, so no wait, that's actually a really big foot. That's an 11 in women's. Yeah, that's a big ass fucking foot.
And he knows women's sizes. I would have never guessed that.
Never mind. I don't want to give up my secrets, but yeah, I do know. She used to steal my shit.
Shit.
Fat ass. Love her to death though. Not really. She probably gonna die.
He used to wear her shoes, is what he's saying.
Yeah, I wore her clothes.
Shit.
Wore her clothes. It was funny. I lost a lot of weight. I've lost like 50 pounds in the past year, and she had a shirt and she tried to give it back to me, and it was so gratifying to be like, your fat ass can still fit it, but not me. Fuck you. Anyway, I think that was a good enough end point. Do you have anything you want to say before you get out of here? Anything poignant? Anything topical?
Not really.
Okay.
Not anything that won't get us canceled.
Okay. We can get canceled. I'm
Like I said, I got a dark humor.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Trying to think. Oh, I know one thing. Kendrick Lamar sucks.
Yeah, all right. That's the end of the fucking Why would you even say that? Why? Actually, do you have like a real point, or are you just being a piece of shit?
I just knew that's one of your favorite rappers.
Yeah, he's the favorite rapper. Kendrick, if I ever saw you and it was out, I'd do something to it. So,
Yo, actually, I got a question.
yeah.
What do you think about Miranda Cosgrove?
Oh, I think she's hot, but she looks like Michael Jackson, so I get a little fearful.
Does that make you gay?
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that would in that scenario because I do identify her as. Yeah, fuck. Or Michael just looks like a girl.
I guess I'm gay then, cause that's my favorite celebrity right there.
Is that the hall pass? Is that like the celebrity hall pass for you?
If I ever got a hall pass, yeah, that's
You think so?
definitely
Okay.
all the way, 100%. If you go on her profile right now and you know how like you can see where your friends have liked photos,
Yeah.
I've liked every single one.
Okay. Miranda Cosgrove, I found him, and if you want me to lock him up, I got you.
I love you.
Yeah, I love her too. I actually like Jeanette McCurdy because never mind, she leaked, and that was kind of weird because she was dating that basketball player. I was in high school. Anyway, all right, this has been the Really Bad Podcast. Some things we said on this definitely came from me more than him. Probably not gonna be good. So, love you guys.
Next episode will be funny.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I got that. I'll talk to you afterwards.
All right.
Fuck y'all.
Really bad people, really bad people. Really bad people, really bad people. Ooh, really bad people, really bad people. Really bad